You've probably seen him on Instagram or TikTok before. This is Hezbollah Magomedov, and he is probably the most hyped internet superstar in the world right now. His videos reach millions of clicks. He has countless followers, and on top of that, he loves to hang out with martial arts superstars, like Khabib Nurmagomedov in his spare time, even though hardly anyone knows who he is at all. But what many don't know is that even though the Russian teenager looks like he's 5 years old, he's actually 18. So, in this video, we want to introduce you to the jaw-dropping story behind one of the most successful TikTokers in the world. You can expect exciting details about Hezbollah Magomedov's past, rare clips from his luxurious private life, and a brilliant truth that will leave you speechless. So, we're unraveling the mystery behind Hezbollah Magomedov's success. Be sure to stay tuned here at Wonderlane. Oh, and write us in the comments what you think of Hezbollah. We're curious. Before we get to the question why Hezbollah's being hyped so much at the moment and has become one of Russia's most famous faces, let's first take a look at who Hezbollah actually is. Although almost nothing is known about the internet star's past, it is now known that Hezbollah Magomedov was born in 2003 in the Russian city of Makhachkala. What sounds unspectacular at first glance turns out to be an important fact for understanding the hype surrounding Hezbollah. Because although many people think that Hezbollah is still a child, he is actually already 18 years old. Why he still looks so extremely young despite his age is something we'll get into in a moment. Before that, however, we'll return to his past in Makhachkala, which is at least as important for his later career as his height. Makhachkala is located in the Russian Republic of Dagestan, which suffered for a long time under the then Soviet leadership. Most of the people living in Dagestan are Muslims, which has repeatedly led to conflicts with the government in Moscow in recent decades. But it is not only pride in its own religion that makes the region of Dagestan special. Hardly any other spot on this earth regularly produces so many world-class athletes in what is probably the toughest fighting sport of all. And that is MMA. Precisely these two things, religion and MMA, accordingly determine the lives of many Dagestanians and ultimately also those of Hezbollah Magomedov. Since his childhood, the 18-year-old has been fascinated by martial arts and, to this day, regularly imitates his great idol, Khabib Nurmagomedov, who is now considered probably the best MMA fighter of all time, and also comes from Dagestan. At the age of about 17, Hezbollah began uploading short videos of himself to TikTok, in which he imitated famous MMA fighters and played little tricks on other people. These videos went viral in no time, prompting Hezbollah to turn his entire life to social media. Out of nowhere, more and more videos of him in the craziest situations started to appear, and within a few weeks, he became a worldwide superstar. Clock is brought to you by Mojo. However, this was never Hezbollah Magomedov's original career aspiration. For some time now, he has been spending most of his day studying the Quran, as he says he would like to be an important Muslim theologian one day. However, since he enjoys being recognized by dozens of people in his home country, his work is currently focused on Instagram and TikTok. Here, he has become an absolute megastar who now lives the lifestyle of a real celebrity. However, before we get into Hezbollah Magomedov's violent private life, we'll briefly explain why Hezbollah looks the way he does, and why he's trapped in the body of a small child despite being 18 years old. Although the exact medical diagnosis is not known, doctors assume that Hezbollah suffers from a so-called growth hormone shortage. This genetic disease causes the body to stop producing an important insulin-like hormone after a certain period of time, and the body stops growing after only a few years. The same thing happens with the vocal cords. This is the reason why even the voice of adult people still sounds extremely high-pitched. Because growth hormone deficiency is an incurable disease that usually only affects the body, Hezbollah is only 1 meter tall, but he is just as mentally advanced as any other 18-year-old, which is probably why he's aiming for a spiritual career in the long term. Now, let's move on to the lifestyle Hezbollah's been enjoying since his viral clips on TikTok and Instagram. Because his Instagram profile now has over 1.5 million followers, he is not only active as an influencer, but also likes to spend his free time in expensive cars and fancy restaurants. Although his height makes it impossible for him to drive a car without assistance, he is extremely popular in his area, which is why he's always invited to race down the highway at full speed in the fastest BMW and Mercedes sports cars. In addition to martial arts, religion, and fast cars, Hezbollah has another passion that is probably the envy of many people. He is a good friend of Khabib Nurmagomedov, who is one of the best athletes in the world, and by far the most famous face in Dagestan. In fact, since Hezbollah was quickly nicknamed Mini Khabib due to his TikTok imitations, the undefeated UFC champion didn't miss the opportunity to meet Hezbollah in person earlier this year. Since then, the two seem to meet regularly and maintain a pretty close friendship. Away from the media hype and life in the spotlight, however, there is a side of Hezbollah that is virtually unknown to the public. To a large extent, the 18-year-old lives a completely normal life, like most other people. Among other things, this means that despite his physical limitations, he cooks his meals, chooses his clothes, and follows a daily fitness routine. It is these daily routines, among other things, that make Hezbollah so successful. For this reason, we would like to conclude by briefly discussing the reasons for Hezbollah's unique success story. Even if many people think that these are just a few funny videos that happen to go viral, Hezbollah's success is based on an inspired approach. Like no other, he manages to present himself in a humorous way and pick up on topics that his fans are interested in. The best example of this is martial arts. For some time now, there have been rumors that he will soon be competing in an MMA fight against the Dagestani singer Abdurazic, who incidentally suffers from a growth hormone deficiency himself. For this fight, Hezbollah staged a press conference in which he used all the cliches that are usually only known from real press conferences in combat sports. Among other things, he insulted his opponent, got close to his face, and even briefly made it look as if he was going to attack him. Although this press conference was also criticized by some Russian sports authorities, who were concerned that such a fight would only serve to amuse the spectators, overall, it is the perfect example of Hezbollah's brilliant recipe for success. Due to his self-ironic nature, it's not a problem for him to show up in situations where he often seems awkward, but provides funny moments in the process. He is 100% aware of his childish appearance, and with this knowledge, he manages to make videos, time after time, that are extremely likely to go viral. Of course, in the end, everyone can think what they want about it, but Hezbollah's self-promotion is much more than a few short videos when you take a closer look. It follows a concept that seems to work perfectly and has turned Hezbollah into a worldwide star with a luxurious private life within a very short time. And that's it for our video about Hezbollah Magomedov, probably the most famous 18-year-old in the world at the moment, who is trapped in the body of a child. Write us in the comments what you think about all this, and if it's okay for you to find Hezbollah's content funny. Otherwise, like this video if you enjoyed it, subscribe to Wonderlane for more exciting content every week, and we'll see you next time, here at Wonderlane.